The bank reconciliation. It's an accounting classic, and one which even the most seasoned of accountants can gather significant satisfaction from completion, or frustration if you've got figures that you can't seem to find. However, due to the development of accounting software, the bank reconciliation process has significantly evolved over time, meaning that it is now far easier leaving said accountants to find satisfaction elsewhere. Which, now I've said it, sounds a little bit odd. Now, the bank reconciliation process involves comparing the bank statement generated by the business's bank to the bank account within the business's general ledger. This can be done throughout the month, but should definitely be done as part of the month-end processes to ensure what the business is recording on system matches up with what's in their actual bank account. Now, if both the balance on the bank statement and balance on the bank within the general ledger are the same, then fantastic, your work is done. However, the chance of that happening is pretty slim, and that's because you've got certain transactions that will appear on the bank statement that you are yet to enter into the cash book, and you've got items that are in the cash book which are yet to appear on the business's bank statement. A large part of the bank reconciliation process will involve checking off items that appear on both the bank statement and cash book, which will then highlight the transactions that do not appear on both. In effect, it's like some sort of adult mathematical spot the difference. Now, this bit is very important because from this point, the business can enter the transactions that appear on the bank statement but have not yet been entered into the cash book. By entering these transactions from the bank statement into the cash book, the only items left that do not appear on both should be those that have been entered into the cash book but are yet to come through on the business's bank statement. Now, we can't force these to suddenly appear on our bank statement. We just have to wait for them to be recorded by the bank, and these are what we refer to as timing differences. There are a number of reasons for these, such as checks which haven't been cashed or backs payments which have been recorded on system but are yet to clear. Now let's bring up an example so I can take you through the process. So you have been provided with the bank statement and cash book of Rocks Limited, and you can see that on the left we have a bank statement and on the right we have a cash book. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that our balances match on both our bank statement and cash book. So we can see here that on the 1st of September, the balance on the bank statement is £8,600 in credit, and on our cash book it is also £8,600. Remember, on the business's cash book, if it has a debit balance, that means there is money in the account. Now, if they don't match, what you need to do is have a look at the difference between the two, and you should be able to find a transaction that relates to that difference. And all that will be is a timing difference, and it'll usually be something like a backs payment, which again hasn't gone out yet from your bank account, and we've recorded it within the cash book, but it hasn't yet come through, and therefore it's led to our cash book balance being different from our bank statement. So just make sure, if your opening balances don't match up, just do the difference between the two and then look for the transaction relating for that difference. Once you've done that, you can tie the three off. Now, if they do match like we have here, what we can do is we can start matching off our transactions to make sure that they're in both the bank statement and in the cash book. So we'll start from the first transaction, which is on the 3rd of September, which is the backs received from Diamond. And we can see that we've got that 623, and we've also got the 623 for Diamond within our cash book. So whenever we've matched these off, we're just going to highlight them to show that they appear in both. So the next one on the list is the direct debit for Sapphire. That's for £95. We can see that that again appears on both. We've then got backs received from Ruby for £110 again, which appears on both. We then have a cheque for Emerald of £285 that was a payment, which again appears on both. We then have a direct debit payment to Topaz Limited, which only appears on our bank statement. So for now, let's leave that blank and move on to our next transaction, and we'll come back to that one once we've finished off matching the others. So the next one is the cheque to Gold & Co. Again, another payment, but this time for 265, which we can see we do have in our cash book as well. We then have the backs received from Opal for £20, which again we have in our cash book. We then have a cheque payment to Silver Limited of £300, which again we have in our cash book. We then have backs received from Jade for £68, which again we have in our cash book. And then the last one is payment for bank charges, which we do not have in our cash book. So what that's meant is we now have two transactions that are in our bank statement that are not in our cash book. We can already see that we've got multiple transactions then that are in our cash book that are not on the bank statement. Now, we'll come back to those, but this next step will involve entering in those transactions that are on the bank statement that have not been recorded within our cash book. So that would be the £32 direct debit for Topaz Limited and the bank charges of £20. So let's first fill out our direct debit for Topaz so we can add that in. There we go. And we can then add in the bank charges for £20. And what we can do, now that we've entered those in, is just highlight the transactions to say that they're included in both. So now that we've done that, it's left us with just the items on the cash book that have not yet appeared in the bank statement. So we can see that we've got two payments in, and they're for quartz for £266 and amethyst for £301. And then we've got two payments out for crystal of £61 and bronze for £109. So now that we've entered those in, what we need to do is the balance on the cash book. So the way that we do that is the same as balancing off any other account. So we add up our debit side, note that figure down, then add up our credit side, and again, note that figure down, and then we do the difference between the two. So I've already done that for you, and it's left us with a balance on the cash book of £8,821. We can then show the totals, which come to £9,988 on both sides. Now that we've balanced off the account, obviously the two sides, the debit side and credit side, both add up. And we can then show the balance brought down at the start of the next month. So now that we've balanced off the account, we can now perform our bank reconciliation. So let's bring up the template for our bank rec. So our bank reconciliation should follow the format that we have on screen now. So we start off with our balance as per the bank statement, which is our £8,424, and we can find that at the bottom right of our bank statement. What we then do is we want to add on any outstanding lodgements. Now our outstanding lodgements refer to income that has been recorded within the cash book but has not yet come through on the bank statement. So I'll repeat that again. It is any income that has been recorded on the cash book but is yet to appear on the bank statement. So here we have two, didn't we? We've got quartz, which was £266, and amethyst for £301. So what we can do is we can add both of those in. So we'll add quartz in first, and we'll then add amethyst in. We then want to take off any unpresented cheques, which is any payments that have been recorded within the cash book, but again are yet to appear on our bank statement. So again, we've got two here. We've got crystal for £61 and bronze for £109. And the reason why we're doing this, we add on the outstanding lodgements because that's income. So obviously when they do come into our bank, they will be add on to our bank balance. Whereas we take off the unpresented cheques, which is any payments, because once they appear on our bank statement, or once they've been paid out of the bank, they will be taken from our bank balance. They'll be paid from our bank balance. So let's add both of those in. So we've got crystal and we've got bronze. Now our final figure is the balance as per the cash book, which we calculated earlier, which was £8,821. So now that we've filled it out, this should reconcile the difference between the balance as per the bank statement and the balance as per the cash book.
So if we do £8,424 plus the amount for quartz and amethyst of 266 and 301, and then minus off our 61 for crystal and 109 for bronze, that gives you the balance as per the cash book of £8,821. So we can see that the two figures now reconcile.
And that is the process of doing a bank reconciliation. Now, obviously, I've shown you the manual method of doing it here, and most systems will now have functions to make this process much easier, but it's great to still understand the theory behind what you're doing on system. Anyway, that wraps up this video. I really hope you found it useful, and if you have, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more accounting videos. Thanks again for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.